Hey guys, CS Joseph, and welcome to Season 18, Cognitive Mechanics. This is the fourth axis episode, and thank you, Jay. I've been working really hard to get this sound better. Also, shout out to Andres Marcos. Andres Marcos has been my sound consultant, and he's been providing me a lot of research and recommendations. And I maintain this gentleman is a true audiophile. I also want to give a shout out to Cortland Graham as well for his assistance in the audio area as well. Both these gentlemen have definitely improved my audio capabilities for this, and also Cortland helped me get better video as well. So I'm glad that it worked out. Yes, there is a community aspect with the app. Yes, it will be a full-on community-oriented thing. It will be a form of social media, basically. So yes, it's very community. The first version won't be very community though. Version 1 won't, but version 1.5 absolutely will be all about the socials. And then every version after that will just be upgrading the social media capabilities that it has, essentially. There'll be a few paid features, but the majority of it'll be free AF. So you won't really have to worry about paying for anything. And it'll be awesome. So, hey, nerds rule the world, bro. What's up, Emery? You're Max. That's awesome. That's amazing. So yeah. Yeah, it's a unique form of social media. I've had this designed for years. It's a thing. It's for the members. Yeah, I want sushi. Yeah. I don't want to talk about fish and chips sexuality. This is not an appropriate use of my time. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure at all. All right, we got our lovely thing here. So we have the fourth axis, also known as sword and mace. You guys like this season? You guys like season 18? It's pretty dope, isn't it? It's pretty awesome. I'm happy for it. I'm definitely happy. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're like you want to take us to dinner, but you're the one that wants to. Oh, okay, yeah, you know, great. And is that where you live? I thought you lived in California. Okay. Yeah, the light board is coming back. You identify as a bass. I mean, are you playing like Mega Man, you know? Uh Rockman and Forte, right? Mega Man and bass? Bass? I don't know why I call it bass. He's not a fish. It's like weird. You'd rate the season 7 out of 5, 7.5 out of 10. Okay, thank you for the vote of confidence there. I got a C plus, guys. Elliot gave me a C plus for this. Great. All right. I feel like I've been talking about this whiteboard for 18 days. What? Why, Cynthia? What? The Way of Four, and this season reminds me of that. All right, that's cool. Play bass in your band. Oh, Ellie, I didn't know you were having a band. Maybe I did know that. I just realized what I needed. One moment in Nashville, Tennessee, by the way. Dope. Okay. This stream's current bitrate is... Okay, increase your bitrate, it's telling me. So it wants me to increase my bitrate. Apparently I don't have a good bitrate. Hold on. Why? So it wants 4600, huh? Settings. Okay, well apparently it doesn't like my bitrate. I really don't know what to do about this. Okay. Well, we'll figure that out later because apparently that's not relevant now. Okay, so the fourth cognitive axis, guys, Sword and Mace starting at 16 minutes and 30 seconds because hashtag announcements are long AF when it comes to CS Joseph for some reason, but I have no idea. So What is sword and mace? All right, so why is it called sword and mace? Well, the reason why is because TI is a bloody sword. Okay, where does this come from? I was actually asked recently, like, why is TI a sword? And someone mentioned to me, I think it was actually Andres Marcos actually said it to me, and I'm actually going to read you his interpretation right now. Congratulations, Andres, you've just made content. So he's saying, I was thinking about why you called TI the sword. Then I realized every time you counter a claim, it's like parrying with a sword. Arguments are like a sword dance. And I said, yes. But also, it's just because Jesus called the tongue a sword. And he's like, that's cool. So yeah, but yes, it's really like you're parrying. It's a criticism. You're cutting people, right? So this is why TI is a sword, okay? Now, what really confuses people, they're like, well, wait a minute, why is extroverted feeling a mace? Like, why is that? Well, the reason why is because a mace, it's a blunt instrument, it's a blunt object. You can definitely shame people with a mace. It's kind of like when you're exposing somebody's values, like you're exposing like a depraved NFP, for example, in front of everybody that they respect or everybody that they know. And it can be quite painful, and it's a very blunt object because it hits a larger surface area, whereas TI is very precise. It's very specific, a specific cut, you know. And my mentor, he told me a concept called alida lente. Alida lente, and alida lente is like a very specific cut or swath of a sword, right? And this is why ultimately he plays the class Paladin on World of Warcraft, and also why the INFJ archetype is known as the Paladin according to this community. So understand how that goes. So yeah, extroverted feeling, however, it hits a larger surface area. It actually can harm the TE or harm the reputation of somebody. This is why an FE hero has a TE demon. TE demon exists to destroy the reputation or credibility of other people. It's because extroverted feeling is a mace, and that mace, when it's swung around, it hits multiple targets at once instead of a specific target. Okay? And that's why it is a mace, because FE can be used as a weapon. FE could also be used for healing or defending. That mace can hit a bunch of people for the sake of others. Okay, that's why extroverted feeling is like it has healing properties, right? Another way of looking at this, hashtag anime. When you look at Inuyasha, okay, you look at it this way. Check it out, Inuyasha style. This is the Tetsaiga. Oh yeah. This is the Tenseiga. Okay, these are the two different sides of the same sword, effectively, or two sides of the same coin. You have the Tenseiga, which leads to like death. You have the Tenseiga, which leads to healing. Okay, it's a healing sword. It literally heals people. You see what I'm saying? Uh, so if you ever watched Inuyasha, which I don't recommend you ever watch Inuyasha, the anime, because I could literally sum up the anime like this: Inuyasha, Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome, over and over and over again, like every episode. So I've just literally told you the entire plot of the anime right there. A sword of death, Tetsaiga, a sword of healing, Tenseiga, and a woman screaming out Inuyasha, and a man screaming out Kagome. That's literally the entire anime. So you don't have to watch it anymore. Congratulations. Okay? So based on that, these are the different aspects of these weapons. Okay, so TI represents, logique. And then FE equals ethics, of course, right? So we have the ethics. Logic and ethics, huh? Yes. All right, so let me actually open up. Gosh, okay, cool. It opened where I want it to open. And then, okay, and then, And then let's do another one. How to parent outline. Good. Okay. So looking at my notes here. Cool. All right. So logic, and then we have anything that has to do with facts, right? And then they filter. They're very candorous, like candorous ordo, right? Candor. Candorous ordo from Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, right? Or Candor from Divergent, if you've read the books or watched the movies. The first two movies were great. The rest of it sucks for some reason. I don't know why. And then from there, let's see here. Oh yeah, they also separate things. Separate, like a bra, lift and separate. And then we have separate, we have cutting, murder with your mouth, right? Murder with your mouth. That's another good biblical way of saying it, right? TI, right? So that's a thing. And then ethics is different. Ethics is all about what other people feel, right? How others feel. Yeah. How others feel. Awesome. Okay. And then we have empathy. Yeah, which is how others feel. It's the same thing. It's synonymous. And then these people care about fairness. These care about, even though SI, FE users care about fairness more, these people very much care about integrity. Or at least these people need integrity, and they expect integrity in others, but they have a hard time producing integrity in themselves. That's a thing. Okay. So, lift and separate, folks. Lift and separate. Good old Candorous Ordo. Yes, I play video games. I don't care. I haven't played very many very long. Although, I was really disappointed to see that ReZero stopped midway during its season. I have to wait till next year to watch it. But then I started watching the first episode of Star Trek Discovery, and then I realized that it's an entire retelling of a story we've already been told in Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. And they literally took all that intellectual property and they're just retelling it from a Star Trek point of view. Hashtag Chase is triggered, because I am. Like, wow. That's all you guys could come up with? Like, literally? Stop. Stop ruining Star Trek. Stop ruining Star Wars. Stop ruining all the cool things. People. I don't know. Apparently, like, the next generation is eating it up. I have no idea. So, TI and FE. So, there's two different ways to kind of interpret, like, why. Like, why does TI do it this way? So, you have TI first and then FE in the sequence. But then, pipe symbol, you have FE and then going to TI in this sequence, right? So let's look at an ENFJ. ENFJ is like, I'm going to help you so that you listen. You listen to me, right? I'm going to help you so that you listen to me. Over here, the ISTP, okay, so yeah, let's actually put that in here. We're going to have a little rainbow ENFJ right here. All right, we got a rainbow ENFJ. We're going to have a rainbow ISTP over here, okay? And then it's going to be like, okay, so I'm going to criticize you in order to help you. But reality, it's teach or heal. Okay? So, people who have TI in their top two slots. Okay, so TI, top two slots. They end up doing this more so. They lead with criticism, but it's for the sake of helping others. People with FE in their top two slots, over here, top two slots, they lead with helping so that they get people to listen to them. Because from an FE parent and an FE hero point of view, for some reason, because I'm not one, thank God, but for some reason, they all think that no one's going to listen to them unless they help out first. Oh, so cute, right? Why? Because they're interest-based, or they're systematic, right? Because to the systematic versions, which are SFJs think that the best way to get someone to listen to you is to do something nice for them first. Yeah, that always works. Or then there's the NFJ approach. Hey, it's in my best interest to get listened to, or it's in their best interest to be that they listen to me. So I'm going to do something nice to them so that it, kind of pads their interest a little bit to kind of open them up to allowing me to listen to them. Because hey, if I'm being really nice, that means they'll stick around. They'll be more willing, more open to listen to me, right? They'll be more open to criticism because I'm helping them first, right? Ha! Oh, you FJs are so funny. Oh, you're so funny. That's not always true. Why the hell do you FJs judge us TPs about that? You judge us like we're assholes. When in reality, you guys are just doormats. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, seriously, don't do that. Please. Stop judging us. Please stop. Oh, but you think I'm letting TPs off the hook? Nope. You guys are a bunch of dicks. Right? Because you're just inviting yourself, and this is why those FITE users call us so arrogant, you TI parents and you TI heroes. You're so arrogant because you just invite yourself in my life. You just invite yourself in my life and you just criticize me. You don't even know me and you're criticizing me. What? How dare you? You don't even have rapport with me. I can't get my nose higher. I can't. I'm a philosopher and I can't get my nose any higher. I can't get my nose higher because I'm a wayfarer. You see what I'm saying? How dare you? How dare you criticize me? You don't even know me. You don't know who I am. You don't know how I've long worked. You don't know my achievements. You don't know my accomplishments. How dare you criticize me? Yeah. So, you're either a dick or you're a Matt. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's the difference. Because TI heroes and TI parents, they lead with criticism first. But they're always criticizing you or anyone for the sake of helping them. Because from their point of view, they're not often helped. And if they do get help, they appreciate it. Because it literally comes down to a biblical concept, okay? It really comes down to a biblical concept. And I have to mention that biblical concept right here to help you guys bring this into perspective, okay? What happens if you correct a fool? What happens? Correct a fool? He hates you. He hates you. What happens if you correct a wise man? He loves you. Okay? This is a biblical concept. It comes from the book of Proverbs. Check it out. Okay? So, yes, I am slapping that bass. Damn straight. So, correct a fool, he hates you. Correct a wise man, he loves you. Well, what happens? I wonder if statistically, if I'm correcting an FI user, they're more likely to hate me. If I correct a TI user, they're more likely to love me. What's wrong with this picture? Oh my gosh. Really? Come on, guys. Like, this is like society. This is like the world as we know it. This is mass cultural hypnosis. This is mass ignorance. Oh my gosh. Slap it good, you know? Or as the INFP Michael Jackson would say, just beat it. Just beat it. So, anyway. Correct a fool and he hates you. Now, I'm not saying that that statement always applies to an FI user. Actually, that applies to me most of the time, especially in my younger self. I definitely was a fool. And honestly, I'm very thankful that I had a TI parent, an ESTP, and a TI child, an INFJ, in my face while I was homeless with an infant, and they gave me the type grid. I'm very thankful for both of those people. and they definitely corrected me, and I ended up loving them for it because of all that works. You know what I'm saying? So and it's super important. So like a TI user who's a TP, they can take criticism very well, and after a while, they may even get butthurt a little bit. You know, like sometimes I criticize Railgun, and she gets super upset. But then after a while, she's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And she criticizes me, and I get super upset. But then I'm like, yeah, actually, you're right. I can't deny that. And then I apologize, and I take responsibility for it. You see what I'm saying? It's because high TI users, which are TI parents and TI heroes, they need criticism. And they see criticism towards them because they're trying so hard to be correct. They're trying so hard to be true as one of the greatest gifts that they have ever received from other people. Being able to learn and upgrade yourself. It's like my ESTP mentor would always say, oh yeah, Chase, upgrade complete. You know, or whenever he'd criticize my ass about something, he'd be like, yeah, see, upgrade complete, because he loves StarCraft. Like, he was a total StarCraft junkie. In fact, just to punish his son, he had an INFJ for a son. To punish his INFJ son, he'd go after his son's SE inferior, and he'd make his son play StarCraft with him over and over again, just to beat him at StarCraft over and over again, while at the same time telling him how bad at the game he was the entire time, and how he should improve, and how he should do better, and how he's not competitive enough. This is an SE hero raising an SE inferior. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I just think it's very, very fascinating to watch a father utilize Jungian analytical psychology in his parenting routine instead of doing what he probably would have used to do, which is like, you know, I don't know, take a giant wooden paddle and beat his son's ass with it. Instead, he just forced his son to play StarCraft, and he just watched his INFJ son get beaten by him over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a thing. But yeah, like so TI parents and TI heroes, they hate not having criticism. They need criticism. But they're always judged by the FE parents and the FE heroes all the time. You're too critical. You're hypercritical. You're not helping anyone. Which is so disrespectful to TI parents and TI heroes. It's insanely disrespectful. And I absolutely hate it when FJs do this to me. I hate it when there's this crazy FJ, oh, I'm morally superior than you are because I'm affiliative, and because I'm going out of my way to do the right thing all the time, that means I am entitled to having authority, and I should go out of my way to take away all of your authority because you're too critical. You're too much of a dick. And I'm like, wow. And yet, I'm smarter than you. And yet I'm criticizing people for their own sake, and yet I see all you INFJ counselors out there with formal education, yet I'm doing way the fuck better than you are when I'm trying to teach people shit, when I'm helping them out in my coaching practice. Okay, yeah, you want to compare dicks? Let's fucking do it right now. Seriously, let's pull out your dick and let's see which one's bigger. You think your coaching practice, you think your counselorship with all credentials is so good because you have to like have some kind of proof out there for your little shadow NFP to be able to prove to other people that you're smart, but then you have an autodidact like me who works my ass off on a regular basis, you know what I'm saying, and actually read the books and actually care enough that I didn't have no freaking formal education, but you want to tell me that I do a shitty job? I'm sorry, let's compare the testimonials. Oh, I have hundreds of testimonials of people thanking me, and you have what, 5? Okay, so seriously, get off your stupid affiliative FE parent, FE hero horse and realize that criticism matters. And it's not my fault that you don't have the guts to criticize people in the way that they need, you know? Because maybe if you had the guts to do it, they might learn something. They might actually stick around. They might actually come back to you. But you don't have the guts because, oh, I'm so afraid that they're not going to stick around. Or I'm so afraid of rejection. Or, oh, I'm so afraid that, you know, they're not going to give me attention anymore. Or no one's going to give me attention anymore. I'm so afraid of having that one really bad testimonial where my TE critic and I'm sure the TE nemesis out there would be like, I don't give a flying fuck about what y'all think. I'm going to do my job, and you're going to give me a testimonial, good or bad, but I don't care because I'm telling you the truth, okay? And it's not my fault that you have bad feeling reactions to the truth. You see what I'm saying? It's so annoying, okay? So yeah, like, it's just like, ridiculous. I am so tired of being judged by FJs, and I especially am judged the most by ESFJs like my sister. Oh my gosh. And yet she's the one cussing me out and yelling at me on the phone. Whereas I'm not listening to her, as she hypocritically goes out of her way to get me to listen to her, even though she won't listen to anybody. So like, I'm not down. Like, seriously, I am so not down. Now, let's talk about it from the FE side. FE heroes, like from their point of view, they constantly see us TPs alienating everybody. ESTPs are especially good at alienating people. ISTPs are especially good at alienating people. And it's like, wow, how can you do that to your son? Wow, how can you do that to your daughter? Wow, why are you so mean to everybody all the time? Why are you so alienating? You wonder why people don't stick around for you either. You wonder why people don't want you either. And it's like, I'm going out of my way to be as attractive to people because I got my credentials, you know? I'm all affiliative. I got the authority here, and I'm an authority, and I worked really hard to get to this point. I worked really hard to get my credentials. But you little hotshot who think you could just come in here and just tell everyone and criticize them, people that you don't even know, I, as an FJ, go out of my way and put all of the effort that I possibly can into figuring out people, and I spend time with them. I understand them. I put in way more effort than you. You just walk into this room and you start spouting out your crap because you're just being a dick and you don't actually care. But the TPs do care. And the FJs do care. But then the FJs, you know, the TPs tell the FJs, oh yeah, well, you guys aren't criticizing enough. You guys think for some reason, you FJs think for some reason that you can comfort somebody into wisdom. You actually think that. Wow. No, that's not true. You can't comfort anybody into wisdom. You have to subject them to the full fire of the sword of truth, the full fire of TI. You have to cut them so deep that they never forget it for the rest of their life. That's why I cut so hard. I combine. It's called the demonic parent. I combine my SE demon with TI parent. So when I find those INFJs, I sink my sword into their SI demon and I cut them so deep that it leaves a permanent scar on their souls for the rest of their lives, such that they will never be able to forget me so long as they live. But it's for their benefit, because then they can grow and they can be a better person, right? You got to understand that. But here's the thing, though. Those TPs often look at those FJs. We look at those FJs. And sometimes those TPs can be jealous or envious. I get that way, but not all TPs are that way. And they'd be like, wow, those TPs, they sure have a lot of people that really like them. They have a lot of people who feel good about them. I want people to feel good about me. I want people to value me. But they have a lot of people going after them. They have a lot of people following them. People like them more. Those NFJs, those FJs, those SFJs, they're way more likable than me. Wow, I feel really bad. I feel like a bad person. And then those TPs get super depressed because then they start comparing themselves to the FJs. Because naturally, people like those doormat FJs. Naturally, people like being comforted into wisdom. People like to hear what their itching ears want to hear. You see? People like that affiliative, do the right thing approach to criticism, right? Being a TP is definitely the path to loneliness. The thing is, oftentimes FJs don't even realize how lonely they really are because of how helpful they are. They don't even realize that they're doormats to other people. They don't even realize people are taking advantage of them. For example, my ENFJ father-in-law recently had a Russian woman move into his home with 2 kids, and he gave her a lot of money, and somehow, someway, she's buying her own house and she moved out, completely and totally used him. Wow. You know, and then he still tells us what he did is the right thing to do, compared to like what I'm saying, like, no, throw her ass out because she's taking advantage of you, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on. Come on. It gets even worse. It gets even worse than this. How do the FITE users see the TIFE users? Don't forget, there's still the problem of ignorance. Ignorance is still a problem. The ignorance is basically, you know, like, Oh my gosh, why is the auto white balance on? That like needs to stop now. Thank you. That was really annoying. Okay, so uh, let's look at how the FITE users feel. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like if you're a TI user, you're automatically seen as somebody who is arrogant, okay, and conceited by default by an FITE user. They're going to see you that way. They're going to judge you this way. And they judge you because they see how TI can be absolutely ignorant in two ways. When a TI user makes decisions based on last known input, makes decisions on old information, that's like they're ignorant. Or the worst one, the echo chamber, and this is what really pisses off FITE users, is when they see a TI user having an echo chamber in their head where they're only listening to information that they want to listen to. They only want to listen to information that their itching ears want to hear, which is like prophesied in the New Testament of the Bible, but that's another story. Check out Thessalonians. Or is it 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3? I don't remember. But it's like in the last days, people will turn away from sound doctrine and sound teaching, and they will gather up themselves teachers to teach them what their itching ears want to hear, and they will abandon truth. Okay, that's where that comes from, right? And it's because TE users see TI users as ignorant when they have echo chambers and making decisions based on preferred input. So TI users are at risk of making decisions based on last known input or preferred input, which leads to ignorance. But of course, the TI users see the FI users as people who have superiority complexes, with flashing their achievements all around. Look at my achievements, my titles, oh yeah, my status, my reputation. You know what I'm saying? And like it just pisses off the TI users because it's like, ooh, my FE just wants to come out, take that mace, and take it to your face because you're not really that superior. This is why Templars, especially ESTPs, hi ESTP over there, especially she pulls out her mace and she's like, see, I can do it better than you. And they get super mega competitive. INFJs do this too. They get super competitive with those FIT users just to expose them, to show them they're not actually as good as they're making themselves out to be. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's one of my favorite things. Railgun's very good at it. She does it to the FIT users all the time in this community. It's amazing and very funny. So she does that. It's all about exposing them. But this is how we expose each other. The TE users expose the TI users for being ignorant, expose them for being echo chambers and last known input, and the TI users expose the TE users for their superiority complex. That's what it is. So it's an arrogance complex in TI versus a superiority complex in FI for FITE users. See what I'm saying? You know, it's reason. You know, how can I be loyal to somebody who's going to comfort me into wisdom? Oh, I love asking NFJs that question. You know, or here's another thing. Here's what you do to SFJs. How can I want somebody who is just going to be a doormat and do whatever I say without challenge? What about that? Right? Where's the challenge? Are you just going to bend over to me every time? You know? Are you strong? Do you have strength of character? Are you going to let me walk all over you? But they're affiliative, right? That's the better way of doing something, right? And they call me the dick because, you know, I criticize people too much, right? So FE heroes and FE parents, they all see it as in like, hey, I'm going to FE you. I'm going to FE you hard so that, oh yeah, you laughing at that. Okay, all you INTJs start snickering. So, I mean, Railgun's snickering. Yeah, they're gonna FE. They're gonna FE us. We're being FE'd now. FE you. um, gonna FE you so hard. It's so good. I know. Uh, so anyway, Oh yeah, definitely. The experience definitely covers their entire worldview. It's kind of like an INFJ who had a girlfriend in high school, their only girlfriend, this INFJ guy, and then all of a sudden she breaks up with him because she's a hypergamous hoe and she's in her break phase. And then all of a sudden at the end, the INFJ is like, "Oh, I'm so depressed. I shouldn't be rejected by women like this. I'm not good enough. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm just gonna choose to be gay for the rest of my life." Yeah, that's the INFJ version of that. Whereas what you pointed out was the worldview, the INTJ version of that. Mm, love it, love it. All right, never not be snickering. Okay, expose what? Exposing the superiority complex in FI users and exposing the arrogance complex in conceitedness or the ignorance, basically the ignorance or the pride of TI users. That's what TE users do. So everyone's exposing everybody, but in these different ways. Okay? Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Guess who's back, waifu? Waifu's the man. LMAO. Dope. All right. This is a really fun lecture. I'm down. I am so down for this. And like I'm even like cussing in it. I'm like turning into Gary Vaynerchuk, and I don't fucking care. Anyway, so with that being said, FE users, back to FE users, remember it's all about generating rapport because they have these ISFP or INTJ, or no, they have these SFP shadows, or they have these NFP shadows, right? These FJs, okay? And those wished that they were comforted into wisdom themselves, and they are all about having rapport with people. Because, for example, an ISFJ and an ESFJ, in order to have a good relationship, because of cognitive projection, remember what cognitive projection is. Cognitive projection is when you yourself are projecting the types that are way opposite to you, or the types that are just like you, or the types that are highest compatible with you onto other people, hoping that you would find someone to fulfill those roles. So you can identify people that you can have sex with, or be in a relationship with, or be friends with, or people that you can learn from. It's called cognitive projection. We all do this all the time. This is why every single human being has an internal bias as a result of cognitive projection, because every person that we meet, we're trying to put them in those boxes so we know what kind of relationship that we can have with those people. Well, when FJs do that, because they have NFP and SFP, hashtag FP shadows, because they have FP shadows, they all maintain that in order for them to be listened to, which they want so desperate, those ISFJs and those INFJs want to be so useful and contribute with their TI child. And then those ESFJs and those ENFJs, they want to not be afraid that they're not stupid. And by other people coming to them and asking them advice, it shows those people that they value them so much. And it makes them feel so smart. And they want to feel smart so much that they're like, okay, I have to develop rapport and generate rapport in other people so that I can earn myself a position to be listened to. And then they criticize the TPs. You haven't earned a position to be listened to. You are not affiliative. You are too pragmatic. You just barge into people's lives, you dicks. Well, yeah, they're being dicks. I'll be honest. I'm not trying to be like super biased against FJs when I say that, although I am a little bit, I'll admit, because I am a TP. But I will admit that as a TP, there have been times where I have criticized people, or I have spoken into their lives, or I've offered advice, and it was completely socially inappropriate for me to do so. And in those situations, I actually do regret it. And in those situations, the FJs would be right about me, because I literally just invited myself into that person's life and getting into their privacy and making their business my business, which TPs have a serious problem with. It is a problem. I admit it. That is absolutely a valid criticism that FJs have of TPs. That's real. So I'm not saying that TPs are the good guys here. We have some problems too. And when we invite ourselves, when we make things our business that are not our business, we end up being foolish. We look like fools. Don't argue with a fool lest you become one. Do not throw your pearls before swine. These concepts are things that TI users, regardless of where your TI is in your top 4 slots, all have to deal with. We all have to deal with this. Okay? So it's super important. It's really important. Because they're like, FJs are right. You can't invite yourself into someone's life like that. You have to generate rapport. You have to earn the right to speak. But TPs don't see it that way because TPs are like, they're all pragmatic for one, whereas FJs are all affiliative. And TPs are like, well, here's the situation though. There are situations in my life where people have not had the right to speak in my life, and they never earned that right, but they told me anyway, and it was absolutely everything I needed to hear, and it literally saved my life. And I know, because I know the truth, and I technically have a better handle on the facts than you do, FJs, that because of that, I have to take responsibility sometime and actually be selfish and responsibly selfish and talk in other people's lives, even if I don't have rapport, even if I don't have a right to speak, because it just needs to be done. I'm just doing what works. I'm finding the best way, and I'm not going to wait around 6 months to a year to finally get this person to listen to me. I just need to say it now, because if I don't say it now, especially as an intuitive, they're going to harm other people. So I'm not going to allow that to happen. Right? Or an STP is like, they're manipulating others, or they're going to take advantage of others, or they're going to shice other people, or they're being charlatans. I have to expose them now. So the pragmatic is not necessarily, so it ends up becoming give and take. The pragmatic approach, the TP approach, they're justified in inviting themselves into other people's lives. But the FJs are justified in creating rapport with other people. Why? It's because there are people out there who don't respond to me as a TP, like INFPs, for example. They don't respond well to me coming out of nowhere, and not even knowing them, and criticizing them to their face. They don't. But that's why FJs exist. So FJs can generate rapport with the INFP to make the INFP receptive. But then there are those people out there who are so pig-headed, it doesn't matter how much rapport you generate with them. And they end up having that take ENFP bullshit, right? They end up getting super selfish, and they have to be exposed. Because that's the only, and they have to be shamed. Because it doesn't matter how much rapport you generate with them. All you could do is criticize. So the point is, our creator put this into our psyches so that the FJs can handle those people who will not respond to the, quote, harsh criticism of the TPs because they need more rapport, right? Or there are those people out there where rapport doesn't do any good. And the TPs handle those people because there's different people of different types. Okay? This is literally how it works. This is why TI and FE is useful in this case. If a TP is criticizing you, it's because they know you're desperate, or they know you're harming other people, and they know that you're a lost cause and that it's no choice. And they're going to tell you because it's the only thing they have left. It's all they got. Right? If an FJ is helping you, they're really just working hard to earn the right to be able to tell you specifically what your problem is. But from both sides of the spectrum, they are here specifically to help you. They are here to improve you. They are here to protect you. They are here to make sure that you are operating with proper character. And they do this to each other. It's just so funny watching how they accuse each other of being a doormat or alienating people. They need to stop accusing each other of anything. Hypocrites, stop. There's no point. Move on. It's not necessary. Let them be who they are. Live and let live. Love your neighbor as yourself. The FJ approach is valid. The TP approach is valid. Guess what, though? I will have to say, in my experience and what I've observed, The FJs, because they're affiliative and entitled to authority, are far more critical of TPs than TPs are of FJs. Just so you know, there is a bias there because affiliative. Okay? So please be aware of that. All right? Super important. Can FIT users be arrogant and ignorant if they know if they know they're correct about something? Well, it's more of like it's a feeling of superiority. It's not so much arrogant, and TE can be ignorant because data doesn't mean facts, dude. Just because it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, looks like a duck, sounds like a duck does not mean it's a duck. You have all of those little qualifications that say this equals a duck. That's not necessarily true. Nice data you have there, but your data is not the truth. Correlation is not causation. That's how TE is not always correct and can lead to ignorance. Okay? So, yeah. So, that's the thing. Yeah, TE Heroes report doesn't exactly really work for TE Heroes. They just need to have someone tell them the straight facts, like right in their face. Okay? So let's move on. I think in general, I've explained how this goes. You know, the FJs are accusing the TPs of their fiery sword being too hot. The TPs are accusing the FJs that their fiery sword is not hot enough. You guys understand? You guys see what I'm saying? So the TP approach is more exposing, it's harsher, it's hotter, it's more painful, it cuts deeper, but it's memorable, and more likely in the long run people are willing to learn and learn from those mistakes, hopefully if they're willing to listen. The FJ approach, it's a longer process to get that truth in, but to those people who are really, really, really pig-headed, like NFPs, for example, especially INFPs, they realize that by generating all that rapport, after a while, the NFP will open up and listen, and then they will allow themselves to be criticized by the NFJ, for example, right? Both ways are valid. Stop criticizing each other. It's a waste of time. Love your neighbor as yourself. Realize that both ways are valid. And just realize that you apply to other people. You, as a TI user, and the truth that you hold is not always going to be useful to every person on the planet. Make sure you know that. All right? Now, granted, you can learn type, and you could do something called cognitive downshifting, which we'll be talking later about in Season 18, where you can emulate lower versions. So if I'm a TI parent, I can emulate a TI child, or I can emulate a TI inferior, basically. Like I could downshift it to certain levels for emulation purposes, just to be able to reach other people, but it costs a lot of mental energy to do, and I'm not really going to do that. And after a while, I'm just going to get frustrated or impatient. I'm just going to tell them what for to their face and TI parent them. You see what I'm saying? So please keep that in mind. Like, that can happen. So, and now everyone's favorite part of these lectures. Let us move on to sentences. Let's move on to sentences. All right. So, I think you are a good person. Right? I think you're a good person. Wow, this is pretty thoughtful. You know, being thoughtful. Thoughtfulness is everything, right? I think, oops, I meant think. So I think you are, so this would be a TI, it's technically a TI-SE statement, but it's TI, a good person. Okay? Well, guess what? That's an FE label. FE, TI-FE. I think you're a good person. All right? Okay. All right, so then there is okay, let's see here. Okay. That's bullshit. No one values that. That's bullshit. No one values that. Okay, so This is TI statement. And then you have no one values that as an FE statement. Okay. Okay. So here's another one. You always do a great job, but I think you can be a lazy ass. Okay. This is another example. You always do a great job. So a great job is TI, but I think, or no, excuse me, it's not TI. Sorry. You always do a great job. That's FE, recognition. But I think you can be a lazy ass. I think you can be, I think, with some, so that's TI. And now we're going to get so interesting. You can be, NE, a lazy ass. Now this could actually be an FE statement, but it could also be a TE statement, depending on the context. You always do a, right? You always do. This could be an SE statement. So you can see how with our sentences, cognitive functions just come out directly. Okay? So, oh yeah, coat it in sugar. That's what FJs do. They sugarcoat everything. TI heroes, TI's parents don't sugarcoat. And then they judge us for not sugarcoating like them. They're judging us because they want us to be like them. That's wrong. We shouldn't be judging the FJs because we don't want them to be like us either. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so it's more of an FE label. That's correct, Andrus. Alchemist, that's not true because you can type them super quickly because their ego still bleeds through regardless of cognitive transition, regardless of stress level. It's not binary. You need to see this science as dynamics and not binaries. They're not static. This is not a static science. This is a dynamic science. So you got to understand the difference between yin and yang equilibrium, and as well as the difference between primary and secondary relationships. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I don't know why Melissa is saying that, but okay. So you do such an amazing job, but you're the worst. Yeah, that's a TIFE statement. Yeah. Well, you're the worst is actually more of a TE statement, I guess. So again, primary and secondary. Let's do another sentence. So here's one. I think it would be something like an NTP would say. I think it would be great if you would be more helpful. Okay, that's one. If they need help, you should help them. So check out this sentence. This one's a little weird. If they need help, you should help them. Okay? So if they need help, you should help them. You should help them. This is a TI statement, but it's also an SE statement at the same time. TI plus SE simultaneously. See, sometimes our cognitive functions combine. All right? All right. Yeah, well, that happens, Sarah. It's fine. Eventually, they'll figure it out. Um, Okay. Uh, I think it would be great. So right here would be great, which is technically an NE plus FE statement. And then I think this is a TI statement. If you would be more helpful, okay, would be more helpful. This is also another NE plus FE, but still FE basically, because it's the primary. You should is SE. Yeah. No, no. Well, it can be an FI thing, Elliot, if it's helpful for you, or if it's helpful towards a certain standard that you care about. It's again, it all depends on context. Context is everything. How do you know if you're stuck in your shadow? Because if you were stuck in your subconscious, you would be having a double helping of the same exact functions in your behavior on a regular basis in your subconscious, in your ego. If you are more balanced, if you're stuck in your shadow, basically. And it's much harder to type people who are stuck in their shadow, right? So, okay. Uh, they value the right to vote. To vote on all. They value the right to vote on all decisions, but I think they shouldn't be able to. I think they shouldn't be able to on every decision. Okay. So that's TI. They value the right to vote on all decisions. That's FE. Okay. TIFE statements, right? All right. So this just gives you guys an idea of how all this works, sentence-wise, so that you all know in general what that's for, how that works. So, have you done a series of some kind about getting out of the shadow or discussed it in a certain season? Yes, it's season 19. Oh well. And depending on what type you are, just do csjoseph.life/whatever type, and then pay the $37, and then you get access to season 19 for your type, basically, and just watch that episode. It's like the top episode in the list, and then you're good to go. All right, if you want me to show you goofy card games, NESI TE label for goofy card games, I have a super simple setup for you. That's extroverted sensing. That's basically mostly TE and FI, but yeah. Okay, so anywho, now begins this part of the live lecture, the Q&A. So what questions do you guys have relating to this content? Gotta love stream delays, so I'm gonna have me some Pellegrino. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I could play elevator music over this stream. I could do it right now. Yeah, I'm bringing it up. Let's see here. Media, open files. Let's see. Add files. Elevator music. Yeah. This is Microsoft Whiteboard. Play. No, I don't want to watch that. No, I I'm not playing that. Yeah, that's a TIFE statement, Kenobi. Can you play some standby emo music? No. This is real elevator music. All right. This is off topic, but let's not do off topic, please. When you cognitive transition, does the type you transition to momentarily take the place of the ego? Not really take the place of the ego. It's more of you're just expanding your soul across the circuit board and going into other areas. What would be the most effective way to phrase a criticism of a TP being arrogant with a question mark? Why do you think you know everything? That's a good one. Alchemist, do we not naturally make connections with people outside of our cognitive circle? Is that something we need to work on and develop? Absolutely, yes. Naturally, we are just seeking people that we could fuck and people that we can learn from, and then people that could be friends or people that benefit us in certain ways. Ultimately, cognitive projection is internally selfish, but it can be responsibly selfish. But we need to learn to love our neighbors as ourselves and thus allow other people to be who they are and learn who they are and meet their mental needs and teach them how to meet our mental needs so that we can be a better cohesive race. It allows us to be more tribal. So yeah. All right. Best way for sword and mace users to teach, coach, spear, and bow so they hear you. It depends. If they are high FI users like FI parent and FI hero, then they're just going to cherry pick ideas and you got to slam them for cherry picking. If they're TE or TE hero or TE parent, you have to allow them to survey and you just make sure that they're surveying correctly, right? So that both ways approach. You're so happy that music, you cry loud. Yeah, well, I'm not even gonna get copyright struck for it either because, like, I bought it. So I own the rights. Good times. Okay. Turn the music down. Alright, I did. Tips for dealing with a TI hero who won't expose an FI user because their TE nemesis is afraid of damaging their own reputation. It's more of a fear of rejection thing. And also, it might be a FE inferior who's just like, I don't want to hurt them. So yeah. And it's because, and if they're doing that, Marcelino, it's because they really, really care about that person and they're giving that person special treatment for some reason. So keep that in mind. What types are the more susceptible to being the fools that will only respond to harsh criticism, if any? TE heroes and TE parents. Yeah, it's dope music. I am enjoying myself. Can you guys hear me now? How do you differentiate between they want, they value, NEFE? You gotta make it look, is it about what people like? Or is it about what people desire? That's the difference. Okay, if you take notes while in class because something tells you you will need them, but in the end they're so messy and you never read them back because you actually didn't need them, TI parent, T critic, it's probably because you have introverted sensing. Sarah says, I told an INTJ recently when I hit a little level of understanding, like, OMG, you are a feeler, you use FI child, I understand. And he looked at me and said, God, I love you. Ah, that's so funny. Good story. Would it be accurate to say that INFJs at least strive to have a system of set true beliefs that they have developed and verified themselves? Or is that considered too systematic? It's kind of systematic because INFJs, we have TE trickster, and they have a tendency of believing just about anything. And there's not really much they can do to verify really bad input in their own heads. So they have to have a lot of counselors and wise people around them, just like anyone. Let's have a good time tonight. That is, I think it's SEFE, honestly. Um, yes, I suck at showing my feelings, but I'm more frustrated that it feels like every time we talk, you try and put me down to make us even. Well, that's what you feel like, but that's not what's actually happening, Tanya. Just because you feel that way doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't give you right to make actions or judgments to do that because it's not verified. Therefore, you need to use TI critic more often. But then you can't be lazy about that either. You have to be patient enough to use TI critic. Otherwise, you're at risk of jumping to conclusions with your expert intuition nemesis, which you don't want to do. Systematic TPs are not, they don't really care about getting even as much as I think that STPs do because STPs mirror. That's not to say that NTPs don't get revenge because they do. But the thing is, though, is that in terms of getting even is more an STP thing because it's interest based. It's not really systematic. Because after a while, the NTP will realize that revenge is not the best system and they'll just abandon it. This song is called Can't Feel It. Um, okay, did I not understand you, Tanya? I don't know. Have you ever explored the concept of the cycle of enlightenment? I think it's a philosophy centered on TI users so they continuously reach a new step in enlightenment. Yeah, it's continuous improvement, also known as Kaizen, according to the Japanese. Um, all right, so is that a TI and FE statement? I, by the way, that quote is from someone I think is a TI and FE person. Um, Well, yeah, FIT users often put other people's down because they want to have the same status as the other person or something like that, or they don't want to lose status. That can happen. All right. Do INFJs get loyalty paranoia like INTJs? Absolutely they do. James Morgan, when is that CSJ response video dropping? I can't wait to see. I don't know, hopefully tomorrow. I honestly don't know. Uh, well, INTJ story was just it's whenever the editor's done with it, really. How can a TI user be prone to believing anything? Because they don't have the patience to verify, and they don't have the patience to verify because they forget that they needed to verify it to begin with. Welcome to INFJs. TE Trickster, they could believe just about anything. They're always the ones telling you that stones have magical powers. Have you ever noticed that? They're really into Reiki, too. Anyway. Um, okay. Is it possible to be a pragmatic FE user and still not want to do things that the majority of people do? Well, yeah, because a pragmatic FE user are literally just TPs and they're independent and they're not going to do the things that the majority of people do. Uh, okay. Okay. When a person expresses a struggle and then wants to quickly hop off that subject, and yes, yeah, I guess patience is a virtue or something. What function? I don't know. And I don't see how that is. Like, patience is a virtue is an adage that anyone can use. It's not enough information. Not gonna work. Brianna Gardner, can an ENFJ learn to be more truthful up front and come off as pragmatic as they get older? Absolutely they can. As they develop their ISTP subconscious, yes. I found myself favoring truth over others' feelings more often despite being affiliative. Yes, and that's one thing about TPs. Eventually TPs will take on FJ traits later in life, and FJs will take on TP traits later in life because of their pragmatic versus affiliative egos, etc. Because each TP has an affiliative a subconscious, and each FJ has a pragmatic subconscious. Okay. That was Can't Feel It. That's what it was. Let's go to another one of my favorites. Alright, so hopefully you guys can still hear me though. All right, let's see here. Okay. Use Cynthia Payne. Is there a functions association? Okay, again, guys, keep this on topic, please. Is there a function association with a preference for first person versus third person point of view writing? Okay, that's a good question. Usually first person, people, they use their ego, but I've noticed that third person writing, people use the introverted or the extroverted variant of their own type. So the hero of the story of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged is an ENTP, but she's an INTJ, and the heroine is Dagny Taggart, who's actually an ENTJ, who the INTJ writer Ayn Rand wanted to be like her, basically. You know, same thing approach with J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter books. The quote I wrote down was from someone else and not me. I want to know if it was a TI and FE statement. Yeah, that definitely can be for sure. I prefer NTP-TI to STP-TI because of my experience in NTP will systematically tell me the whole truth, but STP will only tell me as much of the truth as their interest deems fit. Is that a thing? Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is, Marcelino. That's correct. If it doesn't benefit them to tell you the whole story, they're not going to tell you the whole story. Gel Molder, like you said with the elements that they like to be around, that ones that fit in them, is that the same thing with TI users loving TI user sword video games? Yes, it is. What is the biggest difference between Wayfarers and Templars? Again, this is not relevant, bro. Stop, please. But Templars are a bit more caring and exposing. Wayfarers are like treasure hunters. You can watch all about that in season 17 playlist. How should FJs reprimand TPs for their harsh criticism? And how should TPs criticize FJs for being doormats properly? Use specific examples and point out the consequences of their actions. Concrete consequences of actions and specific examples. Okay. Is it possible for me to be able to make music for your channel? Yeah, as long as it's good. The music is 3 times louder than him. Okay, well, you should have said that. There you go. Is that better? No. Cynthia, is it easier to type with off-the-cusp writing or after an edited writing? It's easier to type off the cusp. That's why I like looking at text messages or social media better than books, honestly. That's a lot better. And there is some functional diluting through editing, yes. What TI is alienating? All of them. Music is cool, but doesn't fit the vibe. Cannot hear you well. Thank you, Helen. I appreciate you sharing your opinion. I feels like we are all draining this super valued energy source. Okay. Yeah, it happens. Okay, why does it feel like INFJs seem fake in regards to FE and TI dynamic? It's because oftentimes their help can be very self-serving. The other time is that they often pretend to know what they're talking about when they don't really know what they're talking about, or they actually do believe that they think that they know what they're talking about, but it's their ENFP shadow that's really getting in the way. The beliefs of the ENFP shadow often drive the facts that they're talking about because it's incorrect input, and that's how they can come up there. So not sword mates, but still in the same season. What if someone relates to earth and fire, but hates water and air? In reality and cognitive functions and spiritual booms. I honestly, it just doesn't really happen that much, or they lack experience. Maybe they're an SI user with not enough experience, and they're kind of afraid of being on a mountain. That's really all it is. They have to get to a point where they're comfortable. They reach their level of Zen with that. So yeah. All right, cool. What does it mean when TI alienates someone? When a TI user criticizes someone so harshly that they don't want to have that anything to do with that TI user anymore. Anywho, that's all for tonight, folks. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed this next episode for Season 18, Cognitive Mechanics, the fourth axis, Sword and Mace. And the next lecture will be really fun, and then after that, we're going to be going into cognitive orbits, which is going to be pretty dope, etc. So, anywho, folks, with all that being said, I'll see you guys tonight. Later.